Welcome to another edition of 13 Tribe Podcast, where we are spiritually in tuned and socially engaged. It's been a minute since we've had a discussion last, so I'm going to turn it over to Rifica and Mrs. Rifica and let them talk about why it took so long since the last time we had a chance to discuss. As you know, for anybody who was watching for the first time, we usually don't have our spouses on here, but because of this particular special edition, we decided to bring our spouses to talk about a subject matter that could be sensitive, but at the same time helpful for others. So, go ahead, family, take it away. What happened?
First off, all glory go to God, nothing to us. To be back with my wife Tamara Douglas, my son Justin Rifica Douglas. Last time he wasn't here yet, but I guess we'll just start off with how it, what happened, when he came and all that. Babe, would you like to say anything to the people?
I just want to say hello, and I'm excited to be here, and just excited to be here and have our son here and being able to share our testimony and our story. So I'm excited.
Awesome. So tell us about your story. I mean, the last time I remember, we had a performance that was set up, ready to go on Father's Day, and all of a sudden I get like a text message like early in the morning, like heading to the hospital. Like, what happened?
Yeah, man. Yeah, we had been practicing hard for that show too.
Yeah.
Go ahead, because you woke up first.
It's still so surreal. That Saturday, I'm never gonna forget that Saturday. June 18th. It was around 7 in the morning. Well, 7 in the morning on the dot, actually. And I'm like, something's different. Is my water breaking? A clue, because it was pretty early in the pregnancy, so I didn't even have the chance to know like exactly what to expect as far as things of that nature. So I'm like, babe, I think my water broke. And next thing you know, I'm like, he's like, you might want to call the nurse. So I'm rushing to call the nurse and find out based off the different signs and things of that nature. And that clearly indeed it was that. And he came early. We got into the car, like literally got dressed and got out of there so fast. Justin was so dedicated. He was like, the funny thing, he was like, I think I'm gonna go ahead and bring my my clothes because I'm gonna go on to change and be ready for the performance later on. He thinks he's gonna be able, everything's gonna happen. Like, okay, she's gonna have a baby. Okay, she'll be fine. I'm gonna go to change. He did not realize that was impossible. So dedicated, and then he realized as soon as we got to the hospital that wasn't gonna work.
Yeah.
Thing went into fast motion. As soon as I was there, it was like go time. And LJ came. He came at 3 o'clock.
Oh wow.
And he's been a blessing ever since. He's been such a blessing, and we were just in total shock. We had no idea. The day before, it was just a regular day, a Friday day, and Saturday. I actually had a planned nail appointment. So I'm what I'm gonna do but to get my nails done and go to the poetry event. That's all I had. Next thing you know, he came, which was totally unexpected, no warnings. And I was just sleeping peaceful. People said, "What were you doing? Were you up cleaning or something?" I was asleep. So, it's definitely surreal. I'll never forget that Saturday, and he's just been a blessing ever since in our lives.
Man, that's awesome. And of course, we welcome him into the world. I mean, and my wife is here, and the reason why I had her come on the show is because we went through a similar ordeal. Before she gets started, how many weeks was it? How many weeks early was LJ?
He was 8 weeks early. He came at 32 weeks. He came.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
We
Yeah,
weren't
my wife.
expecting them till August 9th. I think it was
Yes,
August 9th, right?
August 9th.
So
Yes.
I really wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, my wife. We went through a similar ordeal. I want to say about what 8 years ago was it?
Almost 8 years. It's
Yeah.
gonna be 8 years next month.
Yeah, 2015. I remember it. March 10th, 2015, and
Yeah.
and she can just you know, tell her what happened.
Yeah, so good evening, everyone. Yes, we had our daughter actually gonna, like I said, March 10th when she was born. She was 17 weeks early. So we ended up staying in the hospital for a minute, but same thing, had very, well, a little bit, I mean, a calm pregnancy. A few days before we had a little issue, we ran to the hospital. They said, oh, it was fine. And I remember I was up, like, I went to work that day. It was actually a Tuesday. But even before we went to work, I think in the morning, because it was so early, like I said, it was 23 weeks, about 23 weeks, going on 24 weeks. And I went to the restroom and then I'm like, babe, what is all this? And so this is our second child. With my first child, my water didn't break. I think when we got there to the hospital, they broke the water. So I've never really had anything about water breaking. So same thing with you. I'm like, what the heck is this? So but I'm in the bathroom and I'm like, babe, it's like I want something in the morning. And I was like, I don't know why is all this water on the floor. So he was like, oh, it's nothing. You know what? Just go to bed. So I went to bed because he was like, you going to work the next day. And I went to work the next day. I worked the entire day. And then at like 3-something, I'm driving home, and then we're living in Houston actually, and it was gonna be I-10. We're gonna drive, and I was like, you know what? I'm feeling a little bit different than usual. I'm just gonna drive to my doctor's office. So I drove from work to my doctor, and by the time I got there, I knew I was having contractions every 10 minutes. But like I said, it's 23 weeks. I'm not expecting to have this baby till at least. I mean, my son came at 40 weeks exactly. So I'm like, Lord, I need my 40 weeks just coming out, but that's it. But I mean, literally, I think my friend actually was who called him because I think I was like in an out of body experience, like what the heck is going on? But she was born at about 5-something p.m. I think is when she was born. And they even tried to hold it at least till he came in, because I don't think they didn't even expect her to make it, because like I said, they consider a child viable at 24 weeks, and she was a little bit shy of 24 weeks. So when she was born, she was like 1 pound 3 ounces.
Yeah.
Very, very small. I always like, because she was like 11 inches long, and I always laugh because I was like, it's shorter than a ruler. With most of us know, ruler you use in school is like 12 inches long. But I mean, that girl came. I guess God always has anyway. The final say, he was like, yeah, she's coming today. You guys, I'll lead you through it. But she came, like I said, on March 10th, almost 8 years ago now. It feels like, it feels like, it feels like forever.
Yeah. And it was a shocker for me because like we weren't ready that early. We was just like, you know, I mean, like literally, I remember I was not practicing. I was preparing for to take my final exams in seminary. So I had absolutely no clue. Well, of course I have no clue, but I just didn't expect it, you know. Like I was so like weirded out. Like I I sent the email to my instructors, all my teachers. I sent an email to the dean of the seminary. Like, hey, I don't know what to do. My wife going into labor, and I got so much work to turn in. Like, what do I do? I was like, I was clueless. But I tell you, I mean, and not only that, I mean, just again, my daughter being transferred from that hospital, they were going to transfer to her to another hospital that was better, suited to deal with to deal with babies that are born in the NICU. Born in intensive care, premature, all that stuff. So I mean, just having to go through that whole process within a 2-day time frame. I mean, like even sleeping wasn't sleeping. You know, like there was just so much that you had to do within a short period of time, and so we're just grateful. We're just grateful for what God has done. But yeah, and so that's why I just thought it was so interesting, and it's weird that we're together. We do ministry together, and both of our wives went through like similar experiences with childbirth, you know, and so I thought that was pretty cool. And so, of course, we wanted to let all our people know what's been going on and why we've been gone for so long. So, so far, what has it been like, though? You know, you being a new father and everything, and funny enough, that Father's Day we were doing about to do a poem about being fathers, and here you are actually having a baby on Father's Day, yeah, yeah. Tell us, man, how has that experience been for both of you? You know,
Yeah, that was surreal that he came for Father's Day, because I was just telling Tam, I don't really. She was asking what I want Father's Day and all that. I said I know he coming, but I don't really feel like I'm a father until he comes. Because he was actually here.
Yeah.
Father's Day, you know, he was very active in the womb and all that. So I wouldn't doubt it that he did. But it's been a blessing. It's been different. I feel like I'm getting used to it. One thing I would say that was a blessing by being in the NICU and all that for, I guess it was about 3.5 weeks.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
One thing personally, I had never changed a diaper before. I had never really babysit a baby. I had never took care of a baby.
right.
So it was good in a way that they were able to teach me everything that needed to be done to take care of a baby. Like I always know, the only thing I don't do and haven't done is breastfeed, because I can do everything else. So that she gotta do that. But yeah, it's been cool. And to backtrack a little bit, I was going through it. I didn't know what to do. I was like overwhelmed when he came, and I took a few weeks. I was praying about. I was like, man, I don't know, we ain't gonna be able to do the podcast no more. So finally, I called you. I was like, man, I don't think I can do it, man. I want you to go ahead and move forward with it. I don't want to hold back and not do it. You know, I guess I was kind of panicking and stuff. You know, you just told me, just calm. You said, man, take your time. Because at first I was thinking we could do it, because I thought before we left the hospital, I remember I texted you and said, well, he's on a sleep schedule about 3 hours, and then he feeds and stuff like that. So I thought, being a new father, that he was going to stay on that sleep schedule when he got here. But that was not the case. And he would not sleep unless we held him overnight. So we had to actually do shifts.
Yeah.
When I was here, before I went back to work, I would stay up all night with him. You know, we had to hold him because he wouldn't sleep. And he had like a little bassinet thing I would have on the couch, and I tried to put him in it, and we'd wrestle back and forth, and he just wouldn't do it. So I'd end up having to hold him overnight and stuff like that. So it was very hard. So I didn't see how we were going to be able to do it. Fast forward a little bit, we found out about this thing called the Magic Merlin sleep suit maybe about 2 months ago. And I wish we would have knew about it early on, but they only make them for about 3 months and up until 9 months. So as soon as we found out that, Tam was doing research, I ordered that, and then we was able to put him to bed in his crib every night. So like, okay, he's on a schedule now, and I feel like things are back a little bit back to normal. He's getting in his routines, and we can do it. So that's why I was like, let's go ahead and do the podcast again. You know what I'm saying? Everything else that we were doing. But it's been a blessing. Baby, talk about your experiences a little bit.
Yeah, it has been a blessing. It's a total different, like I've done a bunch of things in my life, as far as career and things of that nature. But when I tell you, this has been so rewarding. It's been a rewarding journey. I mean, I feel like, and I know Salvation, you can definitely probably most likely agree. I feel like my day is never over.
Yeah.
Open is full force. I'm like, you know, but I love it. Like, you know, it's very rewarding to have somebody that actually needs you and feed off of you, and just to see him grow and to see all the different, you know, the changes that he's going through. And like Justin said, we're learning so many things via research and trial and error. Like with the NICU situation, that was very tough. And I know you all know, hands-on, like it was very, very, very tough because, you know, he was there for 3.5 weeks. And first of all, it was unexpected that he was going to come that early.
Yeah.
And then we finally got our blessing. We can't take him home, you know. So, we were literally there around the clock. I know I was there like 2 times a day sometimes. They probably thought I had no life, which I didn't at that point. He was my
Yeah.
life, you know. But the blessing was to know that he was going to be coming home. They wanted to make sure everything was, prepared for him, and that he was ready to be out here in this world without any extra assistance. And he was when he was born, he was 5 pounds 3 ounces. So a lot of people, the doctors and various people who and the staff, they were thinking, did they really know his due date? He's pretty big to be a preemie. But there was a lot of things that he had to do maturity wise in order to have the NICU. So once he got out of there, Justin and I, we felt like a kid at Christmas. The kids at Christmas.
Yeah.
We waited, and from that point on, he's just been, our days are totally, every day is a new day, and it's totally like never a dull moment. So it's been very much so a good experience. I've been blessed to be off this time, and not in the air, not in the, not flying right now.
Yeah.
Until I'm, until he goes back, until I go back, which would be his first birthday in June.
Okay.
So bless him because I've been able to,
spend time with him. Yeah.
Spend time with him and see all those milestones and things of that nature.
Nice.
But it's totally like, it has been a blessing. Justin, he's been doing good, like, walking into this fatherhood mode, and it's one of those things. If you don't think you're prepared, God gonna make sure you're prepared. He's gonna make
that's true.
That's
true. That is so true.
Ready. We weren't ready, but God did give us everything we need and equipped us for our day-to-day with him. And it's been such a blessing. It really has.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. But you tell us about like some of the challenges that we've had.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned the NICU, and I was gonna say, so for example, our daughter, when she was born, I think about like 3 days in, they were like, well, we think she may have like meningitis. So even though she was in a NICU, she had to be taken into a place where a part of the NICU where it was more, how do you say, the more structured, like she was isolated from everybody else. So she was in isolation. How in the field, because even if you're in the NICU, you may be in the NICU, you have maybe like a nurse taking care of like 4 or 5 children, but because she had meningitis and it was bacterium, E. coli bacteria is actually what she ended up getting somehow. She now had a particular nurse that was just mainly watching her, maybe with her and one other child. But then she had like a few surgeries. Like I said, she was there for 6 months. She had valves that had to be closed. They had to cut her stomach because they thought she had. So it was just so many things. But I think that just going through that experience, I remember the first surgery they had to do for her. And I remember standing in the hallway and Dr. Johnson talking to us. And she's talking. And she's like, yeah, we're going to go. And I said, oh, that's fine. Go do what you got to do. I got it. And I think he looked at me like, why am I talking to this lady about like that? I'm like, well, she got to do her stuff. I know the God that I'm saying. And I mean, we had such a good group family around us that was like a support system, like praying. And I remember something Kamisa Dike said to me at that time, God is always going to be in charge of every situation. So always pray for anyone that is going to be touching baby girl. And she called her warrior princess, what she actually called Yael. Whoever is going to be around warrior princess, we're praying that God is going to be working through them. So when that doctor was talking to me, oh, we're going to do the surgery and just check her stomach and whatever. And all I said, well, you go do what you got to do. God is going to do what he's going to do. And she looked at me. I'm like, yeah, I mean, there's nothing for you to tell me. No matter what you tell me, I know I'm not in control of the room. So you do what you got to do and we'll go from there. But like you said, I mean, with me, I had the baby and I was hoping that, when she comes home and I'll take my maternity leave, and I was working then, they were like, no, you have to take maternity leave now. So we definitely were living, I was living in the hospital, which was fine with me. I mean, going back and forth. The thing is, our son actually, our older son, he's born on March 12th. So she came on March 10th. And he's on March 12th. So I remember that day on March 12th. I'm like, okay, I at least have to make his birthday good for him. But I'm still thinking I have to run back to the hospital because I have to see this girl every day. That was my thing. I wanted to see my daughter every day. And which ended up being like crazy. After a while, we had to kind of have shifts. Okay, you can go. And I still didn't want to let it go because he was like, we don't need to be there every day. And I'm like, nope, either me or you. to be there
Yes.
every day. But
Yes.
of course, we're in there and we're like, we couldn't even carry Yael till she was about a month because she was so small. And two, she had to be connected to the breathing machine. I remember the first time I was able to carry her like a month in, and we had to have a respiratory person in there and a doctor, and we could only carry her for 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And I remember picking her up, like she was smaller than my hand, and my hand is not that big. And I was like, what in the heck? And you're carrying her for literally like 30 minutes. They timed it 30 minutes. They took her back, put her back in the incubator, and that was it.
Wow.
But like I said, just going through all those things. I mean, just so many tangible experiences. I mean, I remember when Liz, his sister, came, because you couldn't have too many people come in. Like only 6 people from her family could come in. So even her brother couldn't see her for almost like 3 months because him being young, children, of course, we know they carry germs. So he couldn't come and see her like physically. So of course, I was taking pictures. My mother, I would take pictures. She was like, take a picture from the right side. Take a picture. She wanted pictures every day. But just that experience, I don't even know that really, I can really explain it fully. One thing I do know, I remember I kept saying that the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want, was like one of my Bible verses then, because I had to keep on reminding myself that no matter what is going on, God loves this child more than I love her. So he's going to take care of it. He's going to take care of stuff. Because there were times here, I mean, crying at home, and he's like, are you okay, baby? Like, yeah, I'm crying, but I'm okay. I'm okay. Even my son is like, will come and rub my face. Mommy is okay. Mommy is okay. Because he's just wondering. He's 2 years old. He doesn't know what's going on. But God always has us in this situation. But like I said, now she's going on 500. Even though she's only 8, she thinks she's the boss in the house. But God, like I said, God will always give you the ways and the tools to be able to manage a situation. But it's a good experience.
What was some of the when you guys think about that entire ordeal that you guys went through? What was one of the things that that you remember the most, that really stuck out to you, that you say you will cherish this particular moment every time you think about LJ, or what are some of those experiences that's or things that you can remember that stuck with you? Your thoughts.
And so y'all went there 6 months.
6 months.
187 days.
Oh, that make God 3.5 weeks seem like
forever.
Not as, but it did seem like forever when we was going through it. So I could only imagine what y'all went through. Man, well, some things that stick out to me. I remember it hadn't really set in that we were gonna have to leave him at the hospital when he was about to be born. So the NICU lady hadn't came and talked to us, and I kind of asked the doctor, so are we gonna be able to take him home or we're not? This was before he was actually born. And then she said, no, y'all definitely not be able to take him home. And then they asked that they had the NICU, the lady over the NICU, I forgot what she was called or whatever, came to speak to us yet. So then they went ahead and got her in to speak to us and explain everything to us that was gonna go on. And she was very nice. So that stood out because I thought, I was actually might possibly be able to bring him home. Still thinking that, even though he was born early. I remember I even tell him this, and I don't even know if he knows what I'm saying or not. I used to hold him. He would fit at that point. I think he was, how long was he?
When he was born, he was 19 inches.
He was 19 inches. Okay, so I would put his head right here, and his feet wouldn't even go past, so I could hold him like
football.
His head was right here. Right here, so I could hold him like that. Because I would hold him, I'd be comfortable holding him like this because the machine thing the oxygen thing always seemed to beep like he was struggling for oxygen. If I try to hold them the regular way, I get not having a lot of experiences with babies older, so I would like to hold them like that. So I used to enjoy that and cherish when he was actually that.
Trying to bite the finger.
Very strong for some reason. I don't know why, but Go ahead, baby. Them two things that stand out to me. I'm see if I think anything else.
Yes. One thing that stands out, and it just also goes back to saying that, God will bring you through. Is when we were in the NICU, visiting him, and they were, the nurses, and they had like discharged nurses would talk to you. They have people coming around the clock to give you different reports and things of that nature. So they're trying to, make sure you're still staying encouraged and things of that nature. And me, naturally, I am a positive person, and I'm very strong in my faith. But they try to keep you encouraged and things of that nature. But you still know at the end of the day, you're still going home. They're still in their little room in the NICU. Well, one thing that really stands out is they were telling us it might have been like about a week or so before he was discharged, that there was like his numbers are looking good, he's eating good, he's breathing on his machines, like they're showing that he's doing good with his breathing, and all his numbers are going great. So he might actually be able to come out earlier. So we're excited at that. We're super excited, like yes, earlier than what they said and things of that nature. So but the thing is, when he had he had to have a car seat test. Yeah. And with the car seat test, basically they make sure that they're able to sit in the car seat for about an hour without any any distractions or any setbacks.
Yeah.
So,
the oxygen.
The oxygen. Yeah. So while he was in it, he had been doing good all this time, but for some reason while he was in the car seat, his oxygen levels kept going down. Yeah, they kept dipping. And we were just looking at the machine like, oh man, he's been doing so good. What's going on? Like, we're all excited. We're ready to bring that car seat out with him in it, but anyway, to make a long story short, they didn't discharge him that day. And it was discouraging. It was discouraging and things of nature. And we had to, you tell your parents and they're all excited, and so you got to go back and tell them, oh, he's not going to come home and things like that. But when it set in for Justin and I, we both of us literally broke down crying or whatever, because it was just, we just had that moment.
Yeah.
But as we were able to look at the scheme of things, the grand scheme of things, we wanted him to be ready.
Mm-hmm.
Come home with us, but we didn't want him to come home and then have to go back because he wasn't ready. So once we got through that, and he got stronger and was much more comfortable, and they felt more comfortable, of course he was released. But that really, really, when I think of the NICU, that's one of the experiences I really, really think about. And I look at the day and I'm like, this joker, he's so strong.
Yeah.
breathing so well, eating so well.
Emphasis on eating.
It was a time when one of the things he had to do was be able to finish a bottle. And I think it was it 3 ounces? Or was it 8? Where they wanted him to get up to 8? Or what was it?
They wanted
him 5. I think it was 5, right?
They wanted him to get up to like 4 or 5, yeah.
4 or 5 ounces, and he used to not, at first he wasn't able to finish that, but now he finishes a 9-ounce bottle in 2 minutes sometimes, because he just chugging them down. So he's really come a long way. Another thing that comes thought about, I remember when I used to hold him on my chest or to get him to go to sleep sitting in the NICU or whatever, he would literally move or whatever and find my heart. And once he laid his head on my heart, then he would go to sleep after, because he heard the heartbeat or whatever.
Yeah.
That was sweet and stuff.
Yeah, that was very sweet.
One thing I wanted to ask y'all that came to mind is just 2 things. Because y'all answered one of them, y'all were in for 6 months. But I'm from Houston as well. So what hospital was she born in? And also for Lee, how did they handle your workload at the seminary at that point? Were they very understanding? Because we don't necessarily, I didn't think about that aspect of people that are in college and taking finals and stuff. Like, how do they do that?
Yeah. So she was born at the West Houston Medical Center. And then they transferred her to the Women's Hospital of Texas.
Or by NRG in that area?
Yeah. Okay. Reliant, I think Reliant Stadium.
Yeah.
Falcons played.
The Falcons.
I think Falcons, not the Falcons. Was it the Falcons?
Yeah,
Falcons that played somebody.
I think February. I was about to go talk.
it was a while back. I can't remember, but it wasn't like the Super Bowl or something. But I mean, it was. But it definitely the Falcons had played the Houston Texans at that time for some. It was a major game, but nevertheless, one thing that I think when okay, so talking about seminary, right? So what they did was they did pardon me because it was something that was a situation that was out of my control, and the teachers of course knew that my wife was pregnant, so it wasn't like something that was like I guess in a sense that they didn't know about, like so they knew that my wife was pregnant. Because I always talked about the fact that I had a baby on the, that I would be having I'd be a father a second time, and so when this happened, I think they were more so shocked because of how early it was. But they let me take my final exams on a set date, and they allowed me extra time to to finish all my papers and stuff like that. So they was willing to work with me. One of the things that stuck out for me as far as like our experience was more so like the coming home from NICU from the hospital.
Yeah.
And the reason why is because, and these are things that a lot of times we take for granted. We don't realize the other stories that are within the context of our story. So when, here it is, our daughter is in NICU and she's progressing, going through all those stages or whatever. But then there were other parents who were there. I remember there was a couple and we had prayed for them, and and we encouraged them and they was encouraging us, but they had twins, and one of the twins had passed away. So they had a surviving twin that was the surviving baby that was in NICU. And so these are the things that, in a sense, we take for granted because we just don't think that, hey, our baby may not come home. Yeah. We just expect it, Yeah. And there's others that, that have different experiences.
I mean, like you're talking about when you asked about what is the one thing that you remember, and just talking about going home as well. Mm-hmm. So what they do is that you have to come and stay with the baby at the hospital for 24 hours before they can go home, because they want to make sure you can actually take this child home. Mm-hmm. So we had our day set and everything, and we're about to go into the hospital to start our 24 hours. And then they call and say, hey, we need to move this down because another family just lost a baby, and they give the family like grieving time. So the room that they were going to have for us to use, that family is going to be there to grieve with their baby, take pictures, do whatever. So I remember the lady calling me and I was like, oh, please, that's fine. Let them take all the time they need, because like I said, you're no longer taking your baby home that you've expected all this time. And I'm about to come take my baby home. But like he said, it was just one of those things. Like he said, there were so many, there's so many stories of different families that didn't take their child home. But like I said, just God being who God is. And like I said, you almost like in the midst of your story, you're not seeing the fact that there's so many people around you that are affected by what is going on. Yeah. But just God being who he is and just doing, just him letting what he wants to come to pass, will I say. I also remember another time, like we said, she was on the incubator for the longest time, and I would always call in the morning, in the afternoon, whenever shifts changed, because I wanted to talk to each nurse. I was taking, my mom is a nurse, so she always told me write notes. So I had like 2 or 3 notebooks till now that have notes from different things and different stages. But I called, like I remember like 2 a.m. in the morning, and she was like, you will not believe it, Yael extubated herself. I'm like, what? She's like, yeah. She just was moving her head on the bed, and the tube came out. And they let it stay out. But they're like, some children are like that. They let it. That's how she actually came off the lung machine, because she basically shook that thing off, and they just let her stay off. But and so a lot of times when they would tell stuff later, I was like, this girl and God have their story. I'm just gonna watch God do stuff, because and even till now, a lot of things were like let's see what's going to go on, because God always has a plan, and we're the ones finding out after. He knows all the stuff.
Yeah.
Way to whenever it's going to end, he knows. So we just want walking in his steps and seeing what he wants to get accomplished.
Yeah.
But yeah. It's an interesting experience. I don't know how people do it.
Yeah.
One thing that was different with us is we were going through it during COVID. So y'all said 6 people come up. They only allowed
just 2.
The grandmothers. That was it. Mama Pico and my mama, which town called Mama Diana. They were the only ones that could come up. So her dad, I remember there was a situation, I wasn't there. I mean, maybe you were there, where because my mom wasn't there at the same time, they had kind of maybe let him believe that he may be able to come up, but they were very strict about the people that you up in the beginning, you know, ones that were able to come up during the duration of his stay in the NICU. And I remember that was our deal. Maybe you can talk about that a little bit.
Yes, that was our deal, because imagine, you know, they're coming out and they're thinking, okay, well, there's the grandparents, you know, they're telling different conflicting stories. The grandparents can see them, and, you know, nobody, you know, is limited, but at least the grandparents can see them. So my dad is automatically, okay, cool. Well, let me backtrack. My dad had just had a surgery literally a few weeks before. He was supposed to be at home resting and things of that nature, but he came out on his out of his surgery and wanted to be there. So he drove, you know, he drove out there. Of course, when Justin called them and told him that called my mom and told them that I'm having a baby, they got out and they were at the hospital in record time. But for him to not be able to see him, and it was, you know, it was heartbreaking for him, because he's like, you know, he wanted to see his grandbaby, and it was, they would tell him conflicting things, and so to give them false hope, like, okay, well, he can see him. If Mama Diana is not there, he'll be able to see the baby, be able to see it. But it wasn't. They were very strict on their rules, and with it, you know, it's already being in NICU is already a situation where it's like it's not the norm.
Yeah.
COVID, you know, they had so many guidelines and things of that nature, and I get it. I totally get it. But when you're in that, it's very tough, you know. And so, I mean, we were able to FaceTime my dad and things of the nature, and people, you know, family members who wanted to see him and things of the nature. But that was a total different thing. And of course, with COVID, you can't have, usually when people give birth, you're able to have people come and visit at the hospital and things of that nature. Well, we were only able to have Justin and my mom in the hospital at that time. So that was a different challenge. And then when he was able to come out, of course they were able to see him. So that was very, very exciting. But going through NICU with those, you know, those strict restrictions, that was a whole nother level of challenge. It was a total whole nother level of, you know, people see the babies now and things of nature, and everything is all good, but it does, you know, you have those moments where you're like, oh, you know, God finally, he blessed us, and we got our baby, but we just can't bring him home, or we just, it can't happen in the nature. But as we see, you know, is always a reason for that journey, and always a reason for that testimony. Even with, let's fast forward back to my pregnancy. I don't know if you all remember, but when we were doing our house groups and things of that nature, it was a lot of times where y'all were doing prayer requests and things of that nature for me, because it was a tough pregnancy.
Yeah.
Like, you know, smooth. Some people say their pregnancy, they don't even feel like they're pregnant. I felt everything, and you know, I had medical challenges that happened that I never had in my life. Like I was like in 2021, 2022. I was just, I was like, wow, I was so tired of the hospital, you know, and having a high blood pressure scare, and having sciatic nerve where I couldn't walk for like 3 weeks, literally couldn't. And then having the blood clot situation, it was just back things. But I tried to still, you know, enjoy the pregnancy. I tried to enjoy it as much as I could, you know, with those challenges. And I really feel like LJ came, he said, I'm going to come early because I'm so tired of my mom going through all these things. Let me just come on early so she can get through this, get
Yeah.
the number. Because even, I don't know if you all knew, but I had to take shots like twice a day once I had the blood clots.
Yeah.
I had to do that, and that was so tough physically and mentally for me. Like, definitely mentally, it was somewhat depressing because I'm like seeing all these bruises all over me.
Yeah.
And knowing that I got to do it, and it's never, it felt like it was never ending.
Mm.
And then Justin ended up having to help me with that because it was starting to get hard for me to administer my own shots.
Yeah.
But like I said, LJ said, I'm so tired of this. You know, if she comes, if I come full term, my mom's gonna have to do these shots to October. But early, I was done with that in like right in August. So, you know, it's still blessings, you know, throughout that you can look and see. But but it's I mean, like I said, the fact that we're parents now, it's so rewarding, you know.
Yeah.
All over again.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes it all worth it, you know what I'm saying? Everything that you went through. And so we're just thankful that, you know, that we're part of, you know, part of your journey, you know, part of your story. You know, we will never forget all those things that you went through in order for you to be the mama that you are today. And I'm very thankful, of course. And do you have anything you want to say or add or?
No, not particularly. I mean, like I said, it's definitely. I'm one of them that didn't have any issues in my pregnancy for both of them, which is why for her it was like, what you talking about? She's coming because, like, literally to that point, there was like nothing special. I mean, she was more like Israel, our first son. I would always like, because every time I went to a doctor, I'm like, I actually bought little stethoscope to hear his heartbeat at home. It didn't work because he was like literally, he slept those 40 weeks and he came exactly at 40 weeks. Like we got to the hospital like 12:01. He was born by like 1:48 a.m. in the morning. He was like bam bam. I didn't even get an epidural with her. She was so little, and I remember the nurse telling me, don't take the epidural even if you want it, because she needs to be able to respond to anything after she was born. So I didn't even take anything. She was like 3-4 pushes, she was out. But it was literally a very easy pregnancy. I think, I mean, if not for the fact that we were like, before we got married, we were like, how many children do you want? You want 2? We're done with 2. Pregnancy is probably gonna be the pregnancy part is the easy part. Even the giving birth, because like both my children were both, I don't even like using the term natural because I think every child is natural. I didn't get to enjoy the epidural benefits, as some would say, because they were just wanting to come here so fast, even when this child was full term. But I mean, I think, like I said, in everything, the process of being a parent or being a mother is very enjoyable. Like I was telling Israel today that I was like, see, I went to the store today and he loves vegetable soup. So usually like with spinach. So I was like, I went to the store and I bought you spinach. It's like, oh, thank you, mommy. You think about me even when I'm not there.
Oh.
And I said, this boy keeps sweet talking me. That's why he keeps getting everything he wants.
Yes.
But I mean, even my daughter till now, like now, she knows I always like, God bless you. She knows I like a cup of water, and every time when she comes upstairs after getting ready, she always will bring me a cup of water with ice. So there's always those little things that both of them do that is like, you know what? It doesn't matter what the stress or whatever it is. Like you said, the day is never going to end, but you're always thankful for the little things that they do that just reminds you that, you know what, God is was definitely thinking about me when he gave me this too. Anyway, I'm always grateful to God for that, and I'm sure you're grateful to God for Justin there. But
yeah. Justin, any final words as we close out?
Yeah, one thing I would like to say is it was very eye-opening to see how many parents actually deal with preterm labor and have to do coming back and forth to the hospital. I know just in the 3 weeks that we were there, we saw a lot of new parents have to deal with the exact same thing that we were dealing with. And I know that y'all definitely did being in there for 6 months. So I would just like to admonish people to make sure that in your prayer time that you keep those people going through that in your prayers and thoughts, because it is a very trying, emotional time when you're going through that. And like y'all said, some people don't end up leaving with the child during that time, but because we have faith in God, you know, we never even had that thought, you know, y'all didn't, we didn't, you know, we didn't either, but that's the reality of the situation. So let's just make sure that we continue to pray and keep those people in our thoughts and prayers that are going through that.
Absolutely, absolutely. And just want to say again, just happy that LJ is here. You know what I'm saying? He's today was my first time actually holding him, you know what I'm saying, like for an extended period of time, and we was just having a great time, you know what I'm saying? Like I was like, man, you know, that's the man right there. I really appreciate him. You know, he's a happy boy, and so I know that he's eating good and sleeping well, and that he's learning everything. And and the one thing I like is that he maintains eye contact. You know what I'm saying? Like he really pays attention to looking at him. So I look forward to many more moments like that. He's a blessed young man. So. Nevertheless, thank you for everyone for tuning in to another episode of 13 Tribe Podcast, where we are spiritually in tune, socially engaged, and just look forward to some more big things that are coming in the future. And as right now, we out. You know what I'm saying? God bless, and y'all have a wonderful rest of your day, you know.
Y'all have a good one.
Y'all be blessed.
Bye-bye.
Right.
Peace. All right.